'Cause I'm leaving on a high-speed train. Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but basically that's what I'm doing all day today. Is I'm on a train ride through China. So that is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. Okay, so this is the Hongqiao high-speed railway station, and in many ways it's just like a big airport, and it is actually right beside one of the big airports as well, so that's super convenient if you catch a flight and then have to take a train somewhere. So just like an airport, well, not quite just like an airport, but they will check your passport, they will x-ray your bags, but it's much less stringent. They have departure boards, and yeah, maybe a bit more crowded than your average airport, but functions in much the same way. You can even do a little bit of shopping, get a few travel essentials while you're waiting for your train. So one of the things that is easier than catching a flight is that you can just walk straight onto the train with your bag. So you don't have to arrive as early and have to check your bag separately and then wait for it afterwards. You just take it on with you. The leg room is pretty good. This is a second class seat, so it's the lowest class on the high-speed trains. They've even got little power points for your devices. And you can see once it gets moving, so that's 305 kilometers an hour. The fastest it got to that I saw was 308 kilometers an hour. So you really get moving to get from place to place. And people, they come with food carts as well. Again, much like an airline, like a budget one, you have to buy the food. It's not supplied. But, they have everything you need for a long journey to make things comfortable for you. You can get up and you can walk around quite easily, really. And a bonus for, a lot of Chinese smoke. And so for them, the fact that you stop at a train station every now and then is pretty good, because you can get up, go outside, they can have a smoke because they can't smoke on the train. I wouldn't say get fresh air, but at least move around outside. Back on the train, they do have somewhere where you can get water, both hot and cold. People use the hot water for making noodles. And then, of course, they have toilets. There's a choice of a squat toilet or a regular sitting down toilet, more like Westerners are used to. And, it's a toilet, basically. And then, of course, they have sinks and so on. Okay, so I think that's probably enough of a tour of the facilities on the train. I'm going to show you some of the typical Chinese countryside that you're going to see on a train ride. Now, I have gone through China several times by train, not just on this route that I'm on here today. I do have a couple of train rides on this journey to get to some of the places I want to be. But previously, when I've been to China on other trips, I've gone right through the middle of China, all sorts of places on train. And you do see kind of the same kind of things right through China. So China is extremely developed. You'll barely have left one city and you will be seeing the next city on the horizon, and with other things in between. So you'll come to a reasonably open space, but you can see in this shot here, you can see the next lot of high-rises coming up. Now, some of these different cities that you come to, some of them just seem like they're almost entirely apartment blocks, just out there by themselves, and which is quite interesting that there are these, I guess, not just a dormitory suburb, whole dormitory cities, out in the middle of the country. And then others do have, fancier buildings. They must have more of a commercial district going on as well. So you will see a mix of these things, and lots of new construction going on absolutely everywhere. So some of the spaces are quite green, but even in these green spaces, which are relatively open, most of the time there are still buildings dotted amongst them, sometimes quite a few of them. It's very rare to go too far with just completely open and green. And there you see again more and more construction, absolutely everywhere. This one here, there's a little bit of an amusement park with a Ferris wheel and other things. So you will see a few interesting things as you carry on your journey through the countryside. So different styles of buildings as well. I didn't get to capture too many of the old buildings. Sometimes you will see some of those, but definitely different sizes of buildings. You'll see in these shots, so this is a relatively open green space, but even in this is probably the most open green space I saw on this trip. There's still roads and there's still buildings fairly often as you go through the Chinese countryside. Okay, so I don't know if you can really tell it from some of the shots that I've shown you. A camera doesn't pick everything up the way that your eye does. But even in those green areas, there is a constant haze. I don't think it's a secret that pollution, and particularly air pollution, is a real issue in China. And definitely there are places where it's better and there are places where it's worse. But it never quite goes away. Even in these, this is an agricultural area going through now, and you see some different kinds of agriculture. You can probably see there's a layer of grey haze over just absolutely everything, and it really is a shame because a lot of these areas really could be quite nice, or really are quite nice in some ways. You'll see another shot I think just coming up of some really nice green areas, but still they have this haze around them. Again, sometimes worse, sometimes better, but it's still always there, and it really it affects the whole experience, and I'm sure it affects people's health right through the whole country as well. If we were to tie something in about Qigong, I think maybe this could be it. Qigong, of course, is wonderful. It's going to do all sorts of good things for you. Just like planting trees and having green spaces, it's going to do all sorts of good things for you. But if you have something else that's just always present in your life, counteracting that, there's only so much good that the Qigong is going to do for you. And hopefully practicing Qigong does encourage us to start to look more broadly at our lives. Not just the practice themselves, but other things, the things that affect our energy. And if you're living in a dangerous, potentially harmful environment, and that can be lots of ways, physically, emotionally, or so on, hopefully your practice of Qigong, becoming more aware of your energy, will, make you more aware and make you want to change those things as well. Now, I do think that the Chinese are trying with the pollution situation. You can see here there were some wind turbines there in that shot. So they are trying for other sources of energy, less polluting sources of energy, things like that. It's a complex situation for them to change because, of course, they have all this industry, probably not going to work to just shut it all down. But I think they are working on improving things, and maybe they are slowly. Hopefully they'll make more progress in the future. And again, that can be the same for us in our lives. Some situations in our lives are difficult to change, but hopefully we can work on them and figure out how to do it to not just do our Qigong, but improve every aspect of our life. Here we can see some more of those wind turbines surrounded by smog. And look, when you come off the train, again, much like an airport, there are people there waiting to see the people who have come off, and you go out into your destination. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed a train ride through China.